I am Ken McGuffee, and welcome to my tutorial on using video conferencing for education. So the goal of this presentation is to use video conferencing to host a hands-on style class. So I've got to be able to speak to my whole class with the ability to see all class participants while they can see me as well. I do need to have on-screen application sharing for all participants in order to support the hands-on nature of the course material. I've also got to be able to host PowerPoint presentations with audio, as in my classes there's typically a PowerPoint for each individual section. The idea of this whole concept is to break the mold of the old military style training where it says if it's hands-on, it's got to be in a classroom type of environment. There are some concerns with this, obviously. There's the fear of failure, and we've got to overcome this big mindset that is prevalent across our military. And this is the one that says, that's how we've always done it. Bain kind of touches on this a little bit when she says, the ability to communicate in the absence of shared space in real time invokes fears of separation from physical reality. Where this plays into this particular concept is that we're no longer going to be face-to-face. So I am out of their physical shared space. There's going to be some anxiety, and yes, it may take a time or two to get past that. But Rome wasn't built in a day either, so we have to try it to make it work first. Because the nature of my audience, it's almost all military. So with that, I have some specific requirements that I have to meet in order to make this program work. First of all, it's some hardware requirements. I can't require my students to come up with anything other than what they've already got for existing hardware. In some cases, that could be a fully robust video conferencing suite. In other cases, it could just be a laptop with a microphone and a webcam. I also have to look at the connection restrictions. Since most of my students are coming across a DoD network that could be anywhere in the world, and I'm coming from a network that's a corporate network, we've got to be able to make these two networks talk to each other, and there's some security concerns within the networks. The other piece is the interface. It's got to be easy to use. It's counterproductive for me to have an interface that I have to spend 2 days teaching the students how to use when I'm only there to teach a week-long class. The other thing is it's got to have the ability to share either the whole screen or individual applications. It's got to be able to do both. Obviously, we talk about the security things when we talk about the network restrictions, but I do have to have end-to-end encryption as a DoD requirement. Most importantly is cost. This program has to have a low startup cost, and they do have to have a government pricing schedule in place. Obviously, if it costs more for me to host the video conferencing class than it would for me to fly somewhere and host the class in person, that's a game stopper. So when I was looking at this, I looked at multiple platforms. What other things are out there that I could use to present this concept? One of the first things I found is somebody that's fairly new on the front of teleconferencing is Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams has only been around for about a year. Many of us are familiar with Skype for Business. Microsoft Teams will be the replacement for Skype for Business. Skype for Business does not have the application sharing or screen sharing functions that we would need in order to host this type of training. Microsoft Teams does, however, if they're both installed on the same computer, they conflict with each other, which causes them to quit working. The other program I looked at is Cisco WebEx. While Cisco WebEx is available on almost all the different platforms, I have it on my computer here. It's on many of the DoD computers. The problem with Cisco WebEx is getting it to go multi-network. The other problem is that it has a weak encryption process, which was a concern of mine, and with the security concerns, I said no. One of the other platforms I looked at was a platform called Video. Video meets most requirements. It does have a little bit more complicated interface, but the big showstopper for video was the end-to-end encryption is not there. Zoom was another platform I looked at. Zoom, similar to video, has a lot of the great requirements, and Zoom is actually fairly easy to use and a very robust application. It also lacks in an encryption, and Zoom and video both require proprietary hardware in order for it to function. So if you want to use it, you got to buy their camera system. The last program I looked at was a program called LifeSize. LifeSize meets most requirements, and while it does require some specific network configurations to be done in order for them to connect cross-network, those are fairly simple to get through. So it does meet most requirements, and it does have the government pricing schedule. Like I said, it does require some network-specific configuration for DoD and corporate networks due to the security configurations of those desperate networks. The interface is very simple and easy to use, and the nice thing is it doesn't require any proprietary hardware. It's available, but not required. So when I look at it, when I get into the program itself, I open up the LifeSize program, I log into it, and this is the screen I get. It brings me to the home screen, which I've moved it already, because I want to host a meeting. So I go down to Meeting, I click on Meetings. Over on the right-hand side, I have Create a Meeting. So I would click on Create a Meeting, and this is the screen that would pop up. It gives me a couple options. I can do a one-time meeting. So it says, hey, I'm only here to get this one thing done, and we're done. And you can have a permanent meeting, which means I can create this one meeting and have it stay up all week so I don't have to change my configuration every day. I'm going to give it a name. So in this case, I called it Classroom. I'm the host. I did not use the option for creating a numeric passcode, only because in this software, if you create a numeric passcode, the chat sessions do not work. So it disables the individual chats. I need those chat sessions because we need to be able to communicate back and forth. Sometimes it's easier to chat because I could be talking about something and I can still type back and forth to chat with somebody without interrupting or distracting the class. And if it's something that's worthy of sharing with the whole class, well, then I have that option. So I opted not to use the numeric passcode. Once I have created my meeting, it gives me some options. So it gives me my meetings list. I want to open my classroom meeting. If I just click on it, I get the details over on the right-hand side. It tells me everything about my meeting. It tells me a web address if I want to dial into it from the web. It gives me an extension. So if my students already have the LifeSize software, they can log in, they can join my meeting just by having that extension number. Or I can invite them from inside my meeting. If I want to open my meeting, I just double click on it, or I can click on the video, or I can click on the headset to actually make it just an audio conference. I can do just chat, and I can set a calendar reminder as well. So once I get into my meeting, it's going to open up my video screen because I selected a video conference because that's our purpose. So when I get in there, if I look down the right-hand side of my screen, I've got 5 icons down the right-hand side of my screen. The very bottom one is a little gear-looking icon. I can use this to tell it, hey, what camera source am I using? What type of microphone am I using? Do I want it to come across my computer speakers, or am I plugging into some other type of speaker? What kind of video quality do I want? So I can customize this thing a little bit. As I look down the rest of those icons down the right-hand side, the top button, the plus sign, is how I can add participants to my call or to my conference. The little eye icon, second one down, tells me the information about my call, my meeting. The same stuff that you've seen previously on the classroom screen here, that information is posted as well when I hit the eye information icon. The little person icon that's in the middle, that just tells me who's in my meeting with me, who are my participants. As you'll see right now, I have myself and I have a student. And you'll also notice that a student is muted. So if he turns off his microphone, I get the mute symbol so I know I can't hear him. This will come in handy in the classes because if I hear somebody that's talking over the rest of the class, I can say, hey, so-and-so, please mute your microphone. The next icon down is a little chat window. If you click on that, you can open up a chat where you can chat with the entire group, or you can just chat with the actual individuals. Looking across the bottom of the screen, starting from the left, is the microphone icon. I can click on that to mute my microphone. I have the camera icon just to the right of that, where I can turn on and off my camera. So maybe I don't want people to see what's on my camera at the moment. The next icon over to the right, on the right-hand side of the screen, is my sharing icon. So with that, I can either choose to share my entire screen or an individual application. The very far right icon in that four-group icon pile is very convenient. It's a recording icon. I can click on that and I can record this entire call, this entire meeting. This will come in handy later, so it gives me the ability to record my training, and I can use that to go back and assess it to see if some things that can be changed, or if there's something happened in class where I have to do some more research, I can use that to pull up for information so I can get a better answer to my students. I also have the ability to call somebody over in that far right corner. I can call somebody on a regular landline phone. There is a little extra cost involved with that, but I could call somebody with an online phone, with a regular landline phone or a cell phone, and add them to my meeting. They just wouldn't have the video capability unless they have that on whatever they're talking from. In the bottom left-hand corner of my screen is my video, so I can see what I'm presenting. And as my students would show up, they would show up in individual windows around the screen. So if I want to share my screen with an application, it pops up. I would need to have my application already running. Now it's going to show either do I want to show my entire screen, or do I want to share just an individual application. If I do the individual application, it's going to show up on my screen. It's going to look something like this. For this particular example, I was running this application on my cell phone. I shared the CCU webpage on my Chrome browser on my cell phone with my laptop. So on my phone, I was logged in as a student. And this way you can see the different what is happening. Granted, I'm going to lose the video piece of it while I'm on this application, which is fine. I don't need to see what the student's doing as long as I can see what their application's doing. So how does this work out for me? My goal was to host a class online to replace a hands-on training environment. With this tool, I have the ability to walk a student through something by using online on-screen tools, as well as through the video. I can see what they're doing and I can guide them from there. This benefits everybody because then I have the same interactions I would have almost in person from multiple locations. It's a major cost savings because we can host this thing online with minimal hardware, minimal startup cost of the software, and that is a major cost saving. The other piece in the cost savings is I'm now able to host training for multiple sites at one time, so that consolidates and makes the class more available to a bigger student base. The other piece is that my course can be recorded for course evaluations, improvements, or you can go back and answer questions later down the road. For my references, obviously I used our reading material, so BAME, our personal connection in the digital age, as well as a lot of information from LifeScience themselves. Obviously I used their screenshots, so I definitely need to give them credit for it. And most importantly, thank you for listening to my presentation.